Hey everybody, MTG Orzo here with another Commander deck tech, this time for Prime Speaker Zegana. Now I've talked about Prime Speaker before a lot on my channel, and for the 12 people that watch my videos, you guys might remember that Prime Speaker is my baby deck. It's my favorite deck that I have in real life and paper. I put the most time into it, the most money. It gets all the shiny new cards, the foils, the foreigns. It's really how I identify with Magic. Blue-green really does that well. And I love what it does. So, having said that, I'd like to address the nature of blue-green in the format. So, blue-green has access to dumb stuff, to say the least. It has ramp, like I've got Nature's Lore, Kadama's Reach, Sky Shroud Claim, stuff like that. That just gets you really far ahead, lets you cast big stuff like a Hydra Broodmaster, or an Entwined Tooth and Nail, or I think I have a Time Stretch somewhere over here. But so in Commander, the two most important things are mana and cards, and green provides the mana and it provides some redundancies and stuff like that, and blue provides, well, blue gets counter spells, control, extra turns, and so you have all these threats from green with all the protection from blue, and it becomes really hard for your opponent to really even do anything. It's very good. This version of the deck, I'm always sort of playing around with this deck online, always changing out cards. I think I had Bring to Light in here a little bit before realizing it was terrible when it came out a couple of weeks ago. But with Moto, I can experiment a lot with this deck. And so this is the version that I'm finally happy with. It's a little more powerful than my version at home, specifically because I run Deadeye Navigator in the version online. I don't run it in paper because I play with actual friends and human beings. Everyone on Moto is not a human being, and they deserve to be Deadeye Navigator something. So we'll get, if you don't know why Deadeye Navigator is good, then we'll get to it in a second. So just like before, we're going to go over the deck, talk about it, play some games. Side note, if you were watching, I think it was Corlash, that series is on a hiatus because I got bored with the deck. That was in a period when I was building a bunch of decks, and then I moved to China, actually, from Atlanta. So I'm living in China right now. This is just something I can do to, blow some steam before and after work, and just have fun. So you can see right now it says 1:30 or 1:03 p.m. So that means if you're on Eastern Standard Time, it is 1 in the morning for you. So yeah, let's go over the deck. So start with lands. Dryad Arbor. Dryad Arbor is a land creature, and it's really only there for the interactions with Green Sun Zenith, and for another land we'll see in a second. So having a turn 1 forest into Green Sun Zenith into Dryad Arbor puts you at turn 3 on turn 2, which is pretty good, short of a Soul Ring or a Derogatory Speaker. Birds, we don't have a lot of ways to do that, so it's just an added redundancy. It gets hit by board wipes, but so does Birds and Draga, and those are harder to get out. Ancient Tomb, this is great. This gives us a turn 2 Kadama's Reach, turn 3 Gilded Lotus, lets us really get explosive starts. Breeding Pool, Shockland, Command Tower, Fairy Conclave. I run both Fairy Conclave and Treetop Village. I think I'm going to take out Treetop Village for, I think it's Shambling Vents, Slumbering Falls, whatever the new Manland from Battle for Zendikar, the blue-green one, is going to replace Treetop Village. But Fairy Conclave can sort of just get in there when it's stalled out. Also, both of the man lands, Fairy Conclave and Treetop Village, turn on Prime Speaker. And actually, let's go over Prime Speaker. So Prime Speaker is a legendary creature, Merfolk Wizard, is a 1/1 for 6. She enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it, where X is the greatest power among other creatures you control. When she enters the battlefield, draw cards equal to her power. So, not many EDH decks can run a 6-mana 1/1 as their general. But she's really like a harmonize in your command zone usually, and that's, at worst, she's a 6/6 for 1 that cantrips and blocks, which sometimes I've cast. I mean, drawing a card in your command zone is so powerful. Drawing multiple cards is even better. It's hard to get a better, just good stuff UG commander, and I know everyone in the TG thread is fucking vomiting right now when I say UGX good stuff, but she's fucking good, so get over it. So where were we? Yeah, Flooded Grove. I think I don't have many of the filter lands because some of them are just prohibitively expensive. But I do have the blue-green one because I think it's a cool card, and I'm trying to get all the duels for this deck. Forests, I really like this art for the forest. Yeah, Gaia's Cradle. So Gaia's Cradle is a phenomenal land. Add a green to your mana pool for each creature you control. And so if you get a turn 1 Green Sun Zenith into Dryad Arbor, you can play this turn 2 and it taps for mana. So that's just a neat corner interaction that I really like. Hinterland Harbor, Innistrad Duel. Island, we got the boat art. Reliquary Tower, I think, is coming up. Yeah, Reliquary Tower. Oh no, that's not good. Oh no. Fuck. Okay, we're back. Sorry, that was my VPN kicking the bucket. Yeah, so if you're in China, you can't access a lot of things on the internet. Don't know if you knew that, but YouTube and MTGO are some of those things. So if I leave my VPN on for like 4 or 5 hours, it'll disconnect randomly. Usually I connect to Tokyo or Hong Kong because they're close. But yeah, sorry. Where were we? Reliquary Tower. Yeah, so Reliquary Tower is good because this deck draws a shit ton of cards. Riptide Laboratory, sweet land. It taps for colorless, so you can pay 1 and a blue to return target wizard to your hand. Prime Speaker is a wizard. I think I've also got like what's another one? Oh, Glenalendra is a wizard. Yeah, she's a wizard. Is Deadeye a wizard? Deadeye's a spirit. He's not a wizard. Teferi is a wizard. Before I sold out of MTGO, I think it was a couple years back now, I had a Snapcaster, and that was before they were $1 trillion. So don't have a Snapcaster anymore, but it used to be there. Any other wizards? So I don't have a lot of wizards in this deck, but the wizards I do have, it's good to save them. Riptiding Prime Speaker lets you recast her again, draw more cards. Riptiding a Teferi is good to save him, then you can just flash him back in. And then Riptiding and Glenalendra resets her -1/-1 counters. What else? We got Strip Mine. Got to deal with those lands. Scryland. I like this art better than the Clash Pack one, I think. Yeah, the Clash Pack. I think it's really good. I think the Clash Pack one is terrible. Temple of the False God. Poor man's Ancient Tomb, but still very good in this deck when it tries to get to a bunch of mana. Treetop Village, I think we talked about. Tropical Island. So I think Tropical Island is my only blue duel I have because the others are very expensive. Tropical Island was only like 4 tickets. I think, yeah, like Tundra and Underground Sea are still like 16, 18 for the Vintage Master ones. So I'm almost done with my dual collection. I think the only ones I'm missing are blue red, blue black, and blue white. Yeah, so I'm only missing the other blue duels because those are actually played. And then Painland. So those are the lands. Nothing too special. 0 mana cost. We've got Mana Crypt because it's phenomenal. And Ancestral Visions. Turn 1 Ancestral Visions is a phenomenal play that I like to do more often than not. This card's just good. Ancestral Recall is good. So I play a lot of Ancestral Recall likes. Alright, so 1-drops. We have Mystical Tutor. Mystical Tutor gets us all our sweet instants and sorceries like Cryptic Command, Cyclonic Rift, Factor Fiction. I think usually when I do it, I usually get Factor Fiction or Cyclonic Rift. If I need an extra turn cards, I can grab an extra turn card. We've got Ponder and Preordain, Hand Sculpting. We've got Pongify for some removal. This deck is removal light. I cut out Beast Within just to try out some other cards, and I haven't really found a time to put Beast Within in. Also because Beast Within is like $3 on Moto for some reason. So Pongify will have to do. Usually this deck tries to just win before it needs to get rid of something, or it can bounce it with a really wasted Cyclonic Rift or Cryptic Command, stuff like that. We have Birds. Birds is better than Elf, Llanowar Elf in this deck. Dragatree Speaker, Soul Green. It's very good. Lets your turn 2 be as explosive as if you had a Soul Ring. Worldly Tutor, tutor for a creature. And Soul Ring, speaking of which. 2-drops. We got Cyclonic Rift, the best blue card in the game, or in EDH. It's phenomenal. That you shouldn't lose after you cast this unless you're already losing. And if you're already losing and you cast this, you really should put up a good fight. We got Negate. I used to run Negate plus Remove Soul with Counterspell, but I took out Remove Soul because I figured, that might be wrong because I can't deal with creatures as much, but okay, so let's talk about this. Rites of Flourishing. This card has done nothing. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to put Remove Soul in. 1 second. Sorry, guys. You're seeing how the sausage is made. Remove Soul. There we go. All right, so that's good. That's nifty. I like the full art for this one. All right, I feel a little bit safer. So Counterspell in this deck, the one in paper I run doesn't have as much. Obviously, it doesn't have a Cryptic Command or anything like that. But on 1v1 Moto, I just feel like I need to have more Counterspells. So Negate, Remove Soul, Counterspell at 2-drops. Counterspell could easily be Mana Drain if I bothered to buy a Mana Drain. I also took Plasm Capture out. I used to run that a lot. I really liked Plasm Capture. I'm taking it out. It's just a little too color intensive, especially now that I have Ancient Tomb that I kind of want to have early. And I think this is a good amount of counterspells. Nature's Lore. Nature's Lore and its cousin, 3 visits. Get you a untapped force, so basically costs 1, and you can grab a Breeding Pool or a Tropical Island with it. Sucker Tribe Elder gets a land, can block if need be. Sylvan Caryatid, recent addition to the deck. It's a mana dork that's hard to get rid of and is a good blocker. Sylvan Library for some insane filtering. You have 40 life, use it as a resource. Coiling Oracle is blue-green's. Coiling Oracle is blue-green's probably best 2-drop creature. It just does so much. And Signet. A lot of people don't run the Signets in green decks, but I am in love with the Signets. Even though they get destroyed, I just think they're fun, and I usually just keep them in. 3 mana. We have Compulsive Research. Once we get our lands going onto the field, we don't need lands in our hand as much, so we can easily pitch them to Compulsive Research to draw 3 cards, discard 1. Sometimes you discard 2 if you get a really good one. If you get a really good 3 and you need the lands, but I think this is a very good card. We got Dissolve. counter and scry. It used to be dissipate, but it could still be dissipate. But I haven't really played with this card much. I didn't play Theros standard, so I'm trying out the scry one. I usually really like scry effects, especially if it doesn't add anything. So like this could be considered like one colorless is scry to counterspell, but this is really just a strict upgrade to cancel. We got Jace, little baby Jace. I run, how many Jaces do I run? Do I run just 2? Yeah, I run 2 Jaces. So I run Jace Bellerin. He draws cards. You know what he does. -1, -1 plus, -1, -1 plus, or just 3 minuses if you can. Like I'd rather not. If I'm like winning and I'm in no danger, I'll just +2 because who cares. Kadama's Reach. I don't run Cultivate for some reason because Kadama's Reach has cooler art. Crossing Grip kills top and kills anything else you need. It does it very well. Reclamation Sage is good bounce target and it gets rid of artifacts and enchantments. Reclamation Sage is a creature that needed to be printed, and I'm glad it did because Acidic Slime is so good, and 2 less mana, 1 less color to not hit lands is phenomenal. Wood Elves gets us an Untapped Forest. And Regrowth on a Stick, Eternal Witness is good. So I have a lot of Enter the Battlefield effects because of this guy. So I'll just go ahead and talk about Deadeye Navigator. So Deadeye Navigator is a 5/5 for 6, 2 blue, or for 6, 4 and 2 blue. Spirit from Avacyn Restored with Soul Bond. So you may pair this creature with another unpaired creature when either enters the battlefield. And so as long as he is paired with another creature, each one has, you pay 1 in a blue and blink it. This means that you get insane value off of your Enter the Battlefield effects, like Coiling Oracle, Eternal Witness, Wood Elves, Prime Speaker, Acidic Slime, Reclamation Sage, stuff like that. He gets out of hand. So with Eternal Witness, Deadeye Navigator, and enough mana, I can infinite turn lock. Deadeye Navigator plus Mystic Snake is a soft lock for as long as I have 2 mana up. Deadeye Navigator and Acidic Slime means you don't have lands. Deadeye Navigator plus, where is these over here? Plus Phyrexian Jester means you have no creatures. It gets Woodfall Primus, kills all your non-creature permanents. Like it's brutal. Deadeye Navigator is a good card. By himself, he's not much to worry about. You can always kill Deadeye Navigator or the thing he's bouncing with the trigger on the stack. I think a lot of people might not realize that, but it's the Achilles heel of Deadeye Navigator. So let's say I bounced Mystic Snake to counter your Wrath of God. You can respond by pathing Deadeye Navigator while the Soulbound triggers on the stack while Mystic Snake is resolving, and I can't rebounce Mystic Snake because it's not paired yet. So there are ways to get rid of it, but it is backbreaking if you can't deal with it. Another fun interaction is it resets Monstrous, so I can redo Hydra Brewmaster. Where were we? Metamorph. My favorite clone can clone creatures and artifacts for 3 colorless mana. Very rarely cast it for 4 unless I'm impossibly ahead. Fact or Fiction, one of the best blue draw spells in the game. Glenolindra is a great way to just deter stuff. You have Riptide Laboratory and you can just keep getting it back, getting value. It's a great thing to clone with a Metamorph because if Metamorph dies while it's a copy of Glenolindra, it will persist trigger and it will come back as a Phyrexian Metamorph, so you can copy something else if something better comes along. I have Jace the Mind Sculptor because he's good in 1v1. In multiplayer, he's not very good, but 1v1, being able to Fate Seal, Brainstorm, Unsummon, and win the game are 4 great abilities, and you can hear outside the thousands of scooters patrolling my city, honking at each other. Cryptic Command is a phenomenal blue counterspell. It does everything you want in a magic card for triple blue. Oracle of Moldiah gets us there, gets us to ramp, and speaking of Skyshroud Claim, you can search for 2 forest cards. That includes Breeding Pool and Tropical Island, and put them in a play and tap, so it effectively costs 2. Kiora is fun. Kiora is good in the early game, not so good in the late game. Her explorability is neat, but being able to tap down early Voltron commanders, or not tap down, that's more Tamio, but like just prevent them from doing anything is very good. And her obviously her ultimate is hilarious with Prime Speaker. Mystic Snake is a counterspell on a creature, and we talked about its interactions with Deadeye Navigator, but I think it's a very fair counterspell. So you get a Grizzly Bear and a counterspell for Grizzly Bear and counterspell mana. Very well designed, cool art. I think it got reprinted in Modern Masters 2, if I'm not mistaken. But I like the Apocalypse. Well, I guess this is the time shifted, but the Apocalypse art is very good, and the border is nice. Well, Drifter draws 2 cards. It's a divination, or it's bounce fodder for Deadeye Navigator. Capture of Jingzhou is a Time Walk card. It is the 1 5-mana Time Walk card I run because I really like Chinese history, especially the Three Kingdoms. Yeah, taking extra turns sometimes just makes people so butt flustered they just concede. You can get the Infinite Lock, like I said, with Eternal Witness and Deadeye Navigator. There's lots of stuff you can do. This card's good. Sometimes it's almost even worth playing just as an explore sometimes. Like if you're like up on mana and you just need to see more cards and play more lands, it's almost worth it. Tamio. So Tamio does a lot. Her emblem says you win the game. -2 is okay. Usually it's only good, like it's good when you're like losing. Usually she's better just to tap down a problem permanent like a Maze of Ith or a Gaia's Cradle, or like, I don't know, like a Rafik or something like that. He's just gonna run a train through your deck. She's just good value for 5 mana. She comes in with a good amount of loyalty. I really like her. Teferi means that only you get to play Magic. It has flash. Creature cards you own have flash, and each opponent can only cast spells when they could cast a sorcery. So even on their turn, they can't do stuff. So they can't like upkeep Enlighten Tutor for something. They can only cast sorcery speed stuff. And usually, if you're playing another blue deck, getting Teferi out is the #1 priority. So I've worldly tutored for a Teferi many times. Acidic Slime, it's just value. It gets rid of whatever you need. It can't kill a creature, but it'll kill a creature on the ground eventually when it blocks. It's a very well designed card. I started in M12, it was my very first set, and Acidic Slime was always a favorite uncommon of mine, and I really like the promo art for it. Garruk Primal Hunter. I don't run Little Garruk. I do in paper, and I've run him at various times here, but I took him out. He wasn't doing enough. Primal Hunter can Soul's Majesty, which is phenomenal. Like let's say you draw 7 cards off Prime Speaker, then next turn you can draw 7 more with Garruk, and it's insane. Also, the +1 gives you a body for Prime Speaker to draw from, and then you can draw more from the -3 and then +1 again. So it's very cool. Like Doubling Season could probably fit in this deck, especially with Prime Speaker, Hydra Brewmaster, Garruk, and the other Planeswalkers. But what would I take? What would I take out for it? What do I take out for a card that doesn't necessarily do anything? No, I'm not gonna take it out. It's not that big of a function of the deck. Like maybe I'll put it in later, but we probably take out like Gilded Lotus, because we all know what Gilded Lotus does. So I'm not really gonna go over it. We all know what Prophet of Kruvik does. This card's busted insane. If you get this out turn 3 or 4, you usually just win. Prophet of Kruvik turn 5, end step turn 5, flashing in, Prime Speaker is usually pretty good. We talked about Deadeye Navigator. Consecrated Sphinx is just asshole blue. If they draw a card, you can draw 2. Another fun interaction is if you have Consecrated Sphinx, you can target someone with Compulsive Research, so they draw 3 and have to discard, and you just get to draw 6. So it's a fun card. Hydra Brewmaster was the last card I put in this deck because I really like this card. I think it's really fun, and you can get some crazy monstrous value. And it's also You can cast this turn 6, cast Prime Speaker turn 7, draw 8 cards. Like it's pretty good. It's got cool art. It has like a little nest. I think this is really nice. Let's get on to our big dudes. So we've got Phyrexian and Jester, my favorite blue creature of all time. It was my very first ever rare. My buddy got me a new Phyrexia intro deck, the blue-black one, so the foil was the Phyrexian and Jester. Like, and I love it. I still have that version of the card in paper. It's in this deck. I got Chris Ron to sign it at GP Nashville in 2014. It has a very, very special place in my heart, and I love this card so much. Temporal Mastery, take more turns. Fun thing you can do, you can Mystical Tutor for it, so you just get a Time Walk. Avenger of Zendikar, we all know what that does. If I have Avenger of Zendikar, I have Craterhoof. I had Natural Order in this deck for a long time, but it became too samey, so I took it out. But a valid win condition is 9 mana, Entwine Tooth and Nail, win the game. We have Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time because busted blue draw spells. Woodfall Primus is a great card that you can blow up whatever they need. It is a big, like, sort of with same thing with Consecrated Sphinx. It's a clone bait, so that if you have this out, everyone wants one. But the Persist is really nice. You get to blow 2 things up. It's a huge body too, so it gets Prime Speaker going. It's just a good card. Rest in peace, Sylvan Primordial. Ugin is a Pernicious Deed usually in this deck. I don't run a lot of non-creature permanents. I run some, but this is basically a safety button. Like, you get to -10, you usually win in this deck, and it's a little removal. He's hard as fuck to get rid of. Curse of the Swine. Let's get into our X spells. For some reason, X is counted before things greater than or less than 10 now for some reason. But we have Curse of the Swine. It gets rid of stuff but leaves little stuff. Blue Sun Zenith draws a bunch of cards at instant speed and reshuffles. It costs triple blue, but the reshuffling really helps it out over like Stroke of Genius. Green Sun Zenith as well gets our green creatures, gets Prophet of Kruphix for 6 mana. Gets Avenger, gets Craterhoof, gets Acidic Slime, gets really whatever you need. Gets Dryad Arbor, like we talked about. Time Stretch is an asshole card. 10 mana, you take 2 turns. This is 10 mana, you win the game. Kozilek is the Eldrazi of choice in this deck. 10 mana, draw 4 cards unless you stifle it. 12/12 Annihilator 4. If it doesn't get cloned or taken care of immediately, it just wins the game. And then we have one last card. Yeah, Temporal Trespass. I think one of my favorite cards recently printed. I love Wizards' decision to make one bad Time Walk spell in every set at Mythic Rare. So, and this deck usually reads like 3 or 4, take an extra turn. You do have to exile it, so you can't do shenanigans with Deadeye Navigator and what's her name? Eternal Witness, but it's still very good value. Usually Temporal Trespass. Really, if you can get 2 extra turns, this deck wins. So that's the deck. We're gonna play some games. I'm gonna gush on how much I love this deck, and yeah, I'll see you guys there.